Hi everyone, welcome back to another gameplay of Infinitode 2. So let's continue with the Tower Guide series. In this episode we're gonna take a look at the Gauss Tower. This is a very complicated tower, so I'm gonna try to do my best to explain to you guys how it works, the main strengths and weaknesses of the tower, how to best place it, how to best use it, and then at the end of the video we're gonna also take a look at research. So normal research and also endless research. So let's jump right away into level 1.1 and let's take a look at this tower. Now first of all is the cost. Now the base cost of this tower is the most expensive in the whole game. So this is the most expensive tower. Remember guys that I have normal research maxed. So that means that the base cost, all the stats, all the abilities, everything that you're gonna see is increased based compared to without having that much research. So this is the base cost, very high. Then the game description is this one: consumes resources from nearby miners to charge its coils for a powerful shot. And therefore we can find the very first feature or characteristic of this tower, the fact that unless you have a miner that's mining resources, this tower will not even attack, will not even be able to charge the shot. So that's the first characteristic. The second one is affecting, in this case, range, because you can see that if I just place any other tower, you can see this white, like green circle around it. That is range, right? Every tower has some kind of range. This tower doesn't have anything. And that's because of the fact that this tower doesn't even have a range stat. This tower has unlimited range. So that's another thing that you need to remember. Out of the 5 different stats, we can see that range, of course, and then damage is maxed. So 5 out of 5. Very high base damage as well. Very little attack speed and agility, only 1 out of 5. And then crowd damage, 4 out of 5. So this tower can damage a lot of enemies at once. Effectiveness against enemies: this tower deals 50% extra damage to armored and fighters. It deals normal amount of damage to regular, strong, icy, and light enemies. It deals 50% of damage to healers, venom, and bosses. So actually this tower is the only tower in the game where the damage against bosses is halved. All the other towers have 100% of damage to bosses. So they do the normal amount of damage to bosses. This one instead is halved. And that's because of the fact that the base damage is so high that you could theoretically, one-shot bosses. So that's why it's halved. And then this tower deals only 25% of damage to fast enemies. Another weakness of this tower is the fact that it will not be able to target and attack in any way flying enemies. So helis and jets. As you can see here, the big 0. And that's pretty much the overall description of the tower. If we try to place it, well, first of all, we can see that it has only 4 stats: damage, rotation speed, resource consumption, and then the special stat that is charging speed. You can also see this straight line right here that goes up. And this is actually the line at which the shot from the tower is going to be fired. And this tower, another characteristic is the fact that it will never rotate automatically. So it will not even follow the enemies. You need to actually click on this button right here, rotate, and you actually need to manually move it and select at which direction you want the tower to attack. So it's all manual. And of course, how fast the tower rotates, it depends on the rotation speed. And then that's pretty much it. So the tower attacks in a straight line. And now the damage here, depending on the amount of enemies hit, the damage is you lose a portion of damage for each enemy that it's attacked by the laser. So the laser, this beam, right, is gonna always try to kill the enemy. Then it's gonna just continue, go through, but every time it's gonna be mitigated. So for each enemy you kill, you lose more and more damage until eventually, if there are too many enemies in a straight line, you will not be able to keep on doing damage. So that you're gonna end your overall damage. But that's pretty much how it works. So you can hit as many enemies as your damage allows you to hit in just the straight line. Now, another thing about the tower, how it works, is the fact that there is this resource consumption and this charging speed that are gonna pretty much split the tower, how the tower attacks, in 3 different phases. So the first phase is the loading resources phase. And in this case, this means these are the amounts of resources taken from a nearby miner that are going to be needed to be able to load the tower. Then when this phase is over, so you have loaded these 7 resources in this case, that's when the charging speed time begins. So the tower starts charging up. And in this case, when it's a percentage over second, so when you reach 100% here, the tower is ready to fire the beam, the shot. And when these 2 phases are over, that's when and only when the tower can attack. It's gonna only fire one single attack, one single shot, and that shot is gonna be fired when there is an enemy that gets through the line of attack. So any enemy that gets through is going to be attacking this way. And then after the shot, the whole process starts again. So the tower is going to start consuming and loading the resources from a nearby miner. Then when that process is over, you're going to start charging it up, and then it's going to attack, and so on. Now, if you rotate the tower while the resources are loading, the tower will not rotate until it has attacked and has fired the shot. So the rotation is applied only after it attacks. And it's gonna be a lot more easy to see after you see an actual gameplay rather than all this explanation. I'm gonna just go here very quickly through the abilities. So as always, we can choose 2 abilities between these first 3, a level 4 and a level 7 passively. The first one is gonna double, a little bit more than double your damage, but you're not gonna kill enemies, and you're gonna always leave them at least at 10% HP. So this increases dramatically the damage that you already do with the tower, but you don't kill the enemies. You leave them with very low HP. So this ability right here is actually combos very well with the flamethrower ultimate, because the fact that you can actually one-shot enemies when they have a certain amount of HP left. So you can bring the enemies very quickly close to that percentage, and then you can one-shot them with a flamethrower. But other than that, even if you don't consider flamethrower, any other tower that deals damage is gonna need only to do like the last hit to be able to destroy, to kill those enemies, and then that's it. So this ability can be used in certain scenarios to weaken the enemies. You're not gonna be able to kill them, but you're gonna weaken them so much that then any tower can just finish them off. Second ability, this is an ability that is gonna make you lose or actually burn experience, and you're gonna get more damage based on the amount of experience that you burn. Now this is an ability that you don't want to get before the tower is max level, because otherwise the tower is gonna level up much more slowly. So because you're gonna only get like 15% HP, right? 15% experience. So you're gonna level up much more slowly. So passively, I'm always talking about this level up here. So if you want to use this ability, this is a pretty good ability, but only after the tower is max level. So in that way, you have already level 20, you can use the ultimate or anything, and therefore it's just better. Third ability, this applies a debuff on enemies, and when these enemies are destroyed within a certain amount of time, they're gonna drop bonus coins. So they're gonna give more coins, and therefore you're gonna be able to gain more coins. So that's pretty much how it is. This is the only debuff in the game that actually allows enemies to drop bonus coins. So yeah, you can see here the exact percentages. At level 10, you unlock this passive. Every 4 attacks, the enemies are gonna be stunned for 13 seconds, and the first enemy hit is gonna have a debuff. And in this case, when that enemy dies is going to explode, dealing a certain percentage of damage in an area based on its max HP. So that's pretty much how it is. And yeah, so stunning, of course, is always very, very useful because you can stun the enemies, all the enemies caught in the shot. And then the first enemy, the fact that it's going to explode, so it's going to do area damage, it's always pretty nice. And it's also a percentage damage, so that means that even if enemies have millions and millions of HP, still that explosion deals a percentage amount. So all the other enemies hit are gonna always be hit by the same amount of damage. And then lastly, level 20, you can choose between the ultimate or a 10% more power. So in this case, power increases all the stats other than the special one, because this tower doesn't have range. It can already target all the parts in the map, so you increase everything other than charging speed, pretty much. And remember that when the tower levels up and when you upgrade it, the resources needed to load and to charge the tower are gonna also increase. You can see the power also increases the resources needed to fire. So remember about that, and always you have to take into consideration the fact that this tower, to even function, you need a miner. You need a miner that mines a resource that is close to the tower, so the tower can actually get those resources. So so yeah, that's just something that you need to remember whenever you're trying to even place this tower and to use it. And now the ultimate. Now the ultimate works very, very nicely because of the fact it's going to give double mining speed to miners every time that you kill or you severely damage. So every time you hit certain enemies, if you have in this case the first ability, because the first ability doesn't let the tower kill anymore, but the fact the enemies are going to be damaged you're gonna be able to give more double mining time based on the amount of enemies hit. So in this case, for me, it's 3.2 seconds for each enemy. And of course, making the miners at double speed means that you can actually load the resources faster. And therefore, you can start charging sooner. And therefore, at the end of the day, you're going to be able to fire more shots, fire more attacks. So this ultimate is pretty good. Of course, you can make the miners to have double mining speed by calling the next wave early. So all the seconds that you gain by calling the next wave earlier are going to be added also to the miner. So that's another thing that you can use to really maximize this how this tower works. And that's pretty much it. Now I'm gonna need to actually go to another level because otherwise I will not be even able to show you this tower. And I'm gonna actually go here to level 6.2 because I think that this level is especially designed for the Gauss Tower. In this case, I will be able to show you how it works. So first of all, remember, starting with this tower is something that I don't recommend because of the fact that it's very expensive. And you need, remember, you need to mine. So see here that I can't place a miner. And therefore, this Gauss is not going to be able to even start attacking. So I need to actually place, I don't know, maybe here, like another tower, so that I can then place the miner and I can start gaining resources. And only then the tower is going to start attacking. So I'm going to show you here a gameplay. So in that way you guys can see. And I can already tell you that one of the biggest weaknesses of this tower is the fact that it needs always a miner. This tower doesn't work unless you have miners. Now you can see here the fact that the tower is charged. So that's the attack. Right, that's the fire, and you can see that the attack just goes on until it eventually reaches either an obstacle or it just goes off the map. And in this case, it kills all the enemies in its path because it has very high damage compared to the amount of HP that the enemies have at the beginning. Then you can see here the resources loading once again based on here. See that every time the resource is obtained, it's giving it to the Gauss. when the resources are or all loaded, that's when the charging speed starts, and you can see that takes quite a lot of time. And then, and only after then, you can see here the charged. So in this case, the tower is ready to attack, and when there is an enemy in its path, that's when it's gonna fire the attack. And you can see it right here, and it's gonna be doing instantly damage to all the enemies in the path. And then the process starts again. So that's pretty much how it works. And therefore, if you can mine the resources faster somehow, this is better, because you can start loading them faster. You're gonna be able to start charging sooner, and so to fire more attacks. And this is a pretty peculiar map. In this case, in this map, I think that Gauss like receives already like some buffs. So yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to show you how it works. Now I will not be able to actually show you a full gameplay, like getting this tower to reach level 20, because it's very hard to do. And yeah, because of the fact that the tower just requires so much experience, and also the experience gain is not very high. So for example here, another very thing that I recommend you to do is always play some mining speed modifier, so that you can earn more more resources, and of course that makes the Gauss Tower to charge up faster. And in this case, for example, I'm gonna go for nanoparticles. I'm not gonna go for nanoparticles because I want to one-shot all these enemies. I don't want to leave them like at 10 HP. So I'm gonna just kill them possibly. And now each upgrade level, it's very expensive, because you can see how many stats you gain. See that the damage becomes very high. The resources needed also to charge attacks are gonna be more, but at least you see you just do more damage. In this case, I'm gonna get superconducts so I can earn some bonus points. And you can see here the amount of coins I'm earning from the ability. And I'm gonna just upgrade it once, so you can see that the resources needed are higher. That's because of the fact that the damage is higher. And of course, upgrading the miners, so increasing the mining speed even further, of course, is the best. So in that way, you can make the tower to be charged even sooner. And yeah, so that's how it works. You can see that already here I'm struggling. This is not a very good strategy, but I just wanted to show you how the tower works. Level 10 here, the stun. In this case, you can't see the stun because I'm already one-shotting all the enemies, because I don't have this. So you can see the stun, and you can see the coins debuff on the enemies, because they're also one-shot. So that's unfortunate, but this was just to show you how the tower works. So hopefully you guys can have an idea. And as I said before, the ultimate is very useful because it's gonna give the miners even more double mining speed. But as you can see here, because I'm calling the next waves earlier, I already have some double mining speed. So the ultimate, it's useful, but at the same time, you can stack this double mining speed in different ways. So like, it's not guaranteed, it's not like a must that you go with the ultimate. You can go also with just more power. And yeah, the upgrade levels are very expensive. So the last like 5 upgrades are very expensive. Like the last ones, they require like something like 5,000 or 6,000 coins. So it's an insane amount of cost that it has. And yeah, each level, you can see, increases the damage by a lot, but also increases the resources needed to fire the attack. So that's why you also need, at the same time, you also need to upgrade the miner. And in that way, you always have some resources on the miner that can be used to charge the tower right away. And so in this way, of course, it's better. Remember about the rotation. If you might want to attack slightly different part of the map, the rotation is always applied after the tower attacks and not before. So just also remember about that.
and that's level 20. So in this case I'm gonna get the ultimate, so you can see this extra time is gonna be given to the miner every time that an enemy is attacked somehow. Now at level 20, see that here, reaching max experience, this is when, if you want, you can go with the second ability. So that that experience that you still earn, see that here, see this number, that's the experience that actually the tower keeps on earning. You actually can transform it, in this case, to do extra damage. And of course, this is the boss that blocks all the towers, so I think here I'm gonna just end up dying. But anyway, it was just to show you a little bit the tower, how it works. So this is a very complicated tower, and the usages for it are not very high. So in certain levels, or especially like in endless, it can be useful. But this is a tower that, as you can see, attacks in a straight line. So on a map like even the first map I showed, so right here, there isn't a good spot to place it. So here probably would be one of the best spots, because you can target the enemies, you know, on this first part, then on the turn, but there aren't any resources close. So I can't place Gauss here, because it wouldn't be able to even attack. So the fact that you're always forced placing the tower close to where you can place a miner, right? So close to a miner really limits a lot the overall potential of the tower, because you're gonna need to have a miner close. So in many maps, you know, they don't have really good straight lines, they have a lot of turns, and so Gauss is not very good against a lot of turns. So yeah, overall it's a pretty powerful tower that can apply a lot of debuffs, you know, stun, bonus coins, but it requires miners, and therefore the overall gameplay, it's quite limited because of that. So that's just my thoughts about it. Now, going through the research, as always, we can just go here. We can increase the levels or different parts of the tower. I can find here the charging speed. You can also reduce the resource consumption, and you can then upgrade all the different abilities. Everything can be increased, and through endless research, there isn't anything new that you gain. Of course, you can level up each ability and each research even further, so you can have higher stats overall, but that's pretty much it. So you don't gain any new research on Gauss, in this case, even on endless, and that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and see ya, bye bye.